Welcome everybody, my name is WolfXChrist, and today I've got one hell of a video for you guys. Now, a few days ago, I had uploaded a live stream on my main channel called Operation T. In that video, I started talking about two groups, the AGA and another group called the Overseers. Before I do get in depth into that explanation, I'd like everyone to go and check the description of this video. You'll see a link to MediaFire. The link directly goes to a downloadable folder called Folder 20. In the folder, you will be able to see all of the proof, screenshots, and videos that I show in this video, and also screenshots that I don't. This is one of the first times where we will give you hands-on accessibility to the proof that we're showing today. The second link should be a downloadable link for a text document, so you'll be able to follow along with all the points I stated in this video. Now, let's officially get into Operation T. A few months ago, the AGA was made by Wolf. Wolf had later added a few other crews to help carry out the like-minded ideals that we all shared. The AGA was made with the sole purpose to help people. We were against griefers, against toxicity, and overall just here to help the community in any way we could. At the time, I believed all the founding crews shared the same ideals as me. But time has come to show me that people and their ideals change. This whole story starts with a young kid by the name of Flybrogan passing away a few weeks ago. Now, I personally wasn't friends with him, but a few of my fighters were, as well as a few people in the AGA. BCM had later come to us and suggested to take a picture to commemorate him, and I didn't have a problem with that. I didn't necessarily like Fly, but I was more there just to support my crew members and to support my friends. What later happened is what started a lot of questions. When we had joined, we just came with the idea that we were just there to take a picture. Someone invites Murphy for Murphy's Law into the session. As she joins, Grim, BCM, Echo, and Necrophiliacs leave, now giving her enough space to invite all of her little booters. We end up spawn trapping her for a bit and she ends up leaving, but we didn't really get any answers to who invited her. Later that night, Grim, Echo, BCM, and Necro all leave the AGA with bullshit excuses. Foggy ends up going out of his way specifically and talking shit. He talks shit to one of my guys, Felon, so Felon joins on him to go and, fight him by himself. Foggy obviously doesn't like that, and knowing him, he's not able to do a one-on-one fight, so he calls in everybody he knows. Later, calling in booters to boot one person offline. So I end up coming in, try to help Felon out by fighting alongside him, and they couldn't boot me out of the session. They tried to boot Felon, and they eventually left because they couldn't do anything to us. Later on that night, they started posting IPs, specifically IPs of my people, of Wolf members. And I just can't understand. I honestly can't understand how it goes from we're leaving on good terms to a few hours later they're posting IP addresses of our people. People that they were allied with for months. People who backed them up for months. It was ridiculous. Some of our members weren't able to get back online for a few minutes, a few hours, depending, how many times they got booted. But a few booters joined that session that day with the sole intention to keep us offline. Now let's get a recap. 2 days before any of this actually happened, BCM had reached out to one of my members, his name is Bolt, He's also a captain, my crew, probably one of the most loyal members we have. They went to him, telling him things like, they don't deserve you, or you can do better. Once we got word of this, something just didn't seem right. So, we made it look like Bolt left Wolf on bad terms. We made it seem to everybody, including our own crew, that we didn't like Bolt and Bolt didn't like us. Once everyone bought the charade, we were able to put Bolt into BCM and keep him there for weeks on end, giving us as much information that we needed on BCM and the Overseers for as long as we wanted. Later on, proving our suspicions and the accusations towards the Overseers proved nothing but true. Over the course of a few weeks, people in BCM and in the Overseers started talking about booting more openly. They started talking about how they needed to get booters in the session to kick us off or to kick out our allies. What ended up happening more times was their own booters booted them off accidentally. Echo had eventually went to BCM, talking to them about how they were hesitant to fight because their own booters were booting them off. The question arose, is Wolf actually booting anybody? Is Wolf actually taking it that far? Recon, the leader of BCM, even admitted, knowing that GRK, one of Murphy's Law's booters, was booting them offline. People in Murphy's Law had no regard for their allies, booting people off left and right. As long as they weren't hit, they didn't care who got hit. So, sparks started flying. How are we supposed to go and help fight Wolf if our booters are booting us offline? The whole conflict grew and grew. Accusations towards Murphy, her group, and her booters rose very quickly. In the meanwhile, BCM was struggling, not just with the booter situation, but with their leadership situation. Recon, Ambush, and Roland all thought they can do a great job of being a sole leader. They all thought that they all had something to contribute. So what ended up happening was a vote was made, an election so to speak, on who should be elected to be the sole leader of BCM. So we saw this as an opportunity. We didn't care who won the election. All we cared was to show people how power hungry Recon was. Now, we did what any good American would do, and we rigged the election. After we found out, we 100% rigged the election to make it look like at first Recon had a chance, then Ambush, but now Rolling ending up winning the election. What ended up happening was a whole internal conflict between Recon, Ambushed, and Rolling. Everyone fighting amongst themselves and no real leadership in the crew. Later on, that solely being the downfall of BCM. BCM, with the unstable leadership, ends up falling. The remnants of their members either join Murphy's Law, Grimm, or the Necrophiliacs. While all this was going on, the leader of soldiers of Grimm, Reaper, was sending out screenshots apparently from a supposed Wolf member saying that they were not alright with Wolf booting people and taking things too far. At first, people believed it. People were saying that even Wolf's members know how toxic they are. But once we looked into it, we saw that this screenshot of some of the information that was there was sent from the AGA server, not from the Wolf Nation server. I had thought to myself, if there was a rat in Wolf, why send it from the AGA server? Then it hit me. I sent out a message in the Wolf Nation announcements chat and also in the AGA announcements chat. They're the exact same message. The only difference is they were about 10 minutes apart. So if there was a rat and wolf, they would have immediately gotten that notification and just sent it straight away. Not wait 10 minutes to take a screenshot of the announcement in the AGA server. Because if there was really a rat and wolf, they would have just taken the screenshot from the Wolf Nation server. So then I looked, and then we found this. Reaper had invited an account and made it look like a TR9 member, which was an alliance we had. And at first, we didn't think anything of it. But then, once we looked into it, he was posing as a TR9 member, posing as a Wolf member. Once we kicked that account out of the Discord, no more screenshots came. While everything was going on, Reaper ended up ordering his people to delete all of his messages, to delete all of their messages, and to delete any message that they had with us in general, because they were worried something like this would happen. They were worried that we would get proof that these guys are aligning themselves with the same people that they stood against at a point in time. They didn't like that we had proof that their allies were booters, which is why they went into their messages deleting everything they possibly could to diminish the fact that they're aligned with booters. They ended up trying to threaten us, and threaten old members, with personal information, actual personal information, trying to get our names, where we went to school, our addresses, things like that. You know, even going as far as sending people IPs to try and scare them. With stuff like that going on, Kizzy ended up leaving SOG, as she took half of Grim with her, and when half of Grim followed, their brother crew, Sue X at the time, had left too, and any alliance that they had that supported the Overseers now supported Kizzy, and the new crew called the Divergence. Ironically, a horrible situation. Kizzy and her crew were able to rise out of the ashes like a phoenix, making something great. Reaper told his members that at any cost, no matter what it looks like, to make sure to block everyone and not listen to a single thing anyone had to say, not even their former members. It seems a little suspicious. Seems like a dictator. Seems like someone losing control. Once Kizzy took half of Grim, that's when everything started falling apart. When Kizzy left the Overseers, she took half of Grim and Sue X, which was arguably one of the Overseers' biggest allies. Once those two groups had left, everyone was looking at Murphy. The spotlight was on her. You may ask why. It was mainly because she already had the accusations of her own booters booting off friendlies and booting off allied crews. Now, that wasn't the only thing. She was also being accused of trying to ally with the P5. For people who don't know what the P5 is, it's pretty much just like another crew, a group like the AGA that was made to counteract the AGA. It consists of groups like Fatal Absolution, Unknown, Black Creed, and Grief Hierarchy. So when people found that out, there was an uproar, because these crews all beef with the current people in the Overseers. And in all honesty, the people in the Overseers hated Unknown. So when she was asked about it, she gave a bullshit excuse, just saying, oh, well, I forgot. I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you. So, with piss poor excuse like that, everybody rained down hard on her. And she couldn't handle the pressure. She didn't like it, so she ended up pulling out of the Overseers. She made a big announcement in the main chat, explaining why she did what she did, trying to justify herself, and then leaving. In the message, you can see that she even confirms that GRK came in to boot us. She tried to go on and say that myself and another member, WolfX Yummy, were booting people offline. Now, in all honesty, that's not true. Their own members are even saying that it was her that was booting them off. Well, not her specifically, but her booters. And, you know, like I said, did Wolf really boot anyone? Or is it just their inexperienced booters that are booting off people? Once Murphy had left, it just became Echo, Grimm, and a few necrophiliacs. Echo ended up not liking how things were going. They didn't like how serious and how personal Grimm was taking it, so they ended up leaving. Now, it's just Grimm and maybe a handful of Necro. It's pretty easy to understand what happened here. Reaper, you got a big head. You thought you could make another group because you wanted to be in charge, and it seemed to be a little too difficult for you. I understand. You're inexperienced. I don't hold that against you. Come to find out that Reaper and his boys are now moving to Call of Duty because they can't handle fighting us on here. They have to go on a different game. So, with that being said, their last fight officially as the Overseers lasted 27 minutes. It's ironic. You fought us for 27 minutes when we fought for you for 27 hours. It's very ironic. You've made some poor choices, bud. Here we stand, baby. Here we stand.
Thought I had it all together, but I was led astray. The day you walked away, you were the clock that was ticking in my heart. Changed my state of mind.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Love so hard to find.
we got him.
What